Hey, it's Heaven, and welcome to the Sandbag Queen Show, where we talk about all things health from the inside out. I hope you enjoy today's episode. Hey guys, welcome to the Sandbag Queen Show. Today I'm interviewing Steve. He's from obviously Instagram because apparently that's where I know everybody is from Instagram. And we met through there, and he is at Iron Junkies Gym on Instagram. I'm really excited to interview him. He has a unique story and one that I think is very inspiring. So, with that being said, welcome to the show, Steve. How are you doing?
Oh, I'm doing great. Thank you.
I love that. I
Yeah.
love that you can say I'm doing great because as
Yeah.
we dive into your story, it's very encouraging to hear you say that. So, why don't you go ahead and get right into it? Tell us about you and what you're facing right now.
All right. So I got to say, not everybody has a good day. And there's a lot of days where I don't have a good day. So I want, you asked me how I was doing. I was saying I'm having a good day. Like I said, plenty of days where I'm not feeling good, but I don't want to put that out in the universe. So usually if my friends or family asking me how I'm doing, and if I'm not doing that great, I'll say, you know what, I'm hanging in there, staying strong. And that does something for me. I feel that, whatever you put out in the universe really comes back to you.
Yes.
So I've owned a home gym, garage gym, geez, almost 15 years. And I got diagnosed with cancer in March 2020 during COVID. So I was in the hospital all by myself. My wife had to drop me off at the ER. She couldn't even come into the hospital. They did some scans, and I got stage 4 colon cancer, metastatic to the liver, which there was tumors all over the liver. And the doctor was all sinister, basically came in and said, hey, sorry about this, you're basically done for a couple years to live. Maybe chemo will extend your life a little bit. And that was it. And you kind of get broken a little bit there in a couple days, but after that, there's a switch where you're like, man, I'm not going to accept that. I'm going to do something about it. Talk to my wife. We're going to fight. You don't expect that. Worked out, ate healthy, and I'm like, what's going on? All of a sudden, I got cancer. I was trying to do everything I was supposed to do to live a healthy, long life. You just never know.
Yeah. What were
So
your
yeah,
signs? I know I said I didn't want to get like super into details, but what were your signs that you even went to the hospital?
the liver tumors were actually the problematic area. The colon cancer was not causing
Oh,
me any issues. So, like for 3 or 4 months, I had this intercostal pain on my right side, and I was doing Roman twists with the med ball one day, and I thought, man, I must have pulled something. 6 to 8 weeks, it's kind of like just a little sore achiness.
hmm.
And then it came back, and then it went away, and then one night it moved to the front a little bit. It was so excruciating I couldn't even stand up. We called the on-call doctor. It was like 3 o'clock in the morning, and he's like, "Oh, maybe it's your gallbladder. Go to the hospital and check it out." So here I'm thinking I'm going to go in the hospital, right? You don't need your gallbladder, right? You'll just go in. If you got to have surgery, no big deal. They'll
Right.
do, laparoscopic, take the gallbladder out, and off you go home the next day. You're good, right? So that's what I'm thinking after they do the scans and everything. No, no, they come back in and said, no, your liver tumors are pushing against your diaphragm
Oh
and
my
your
gosh.
ribs because they were big. And yeah, so that's
Wow.
how it came about.
But there weren't any other signs prior to that, like no fatigue or,
Like 10 years ago, so I was having colonoscopies every 2 years because most of the colon cancers happen inside the colon, so you can catch a little bit early through colonoscopies as long as you catch this, as long as there's symptoms. But
okay.
for mine grew outside the colon. And so 10 years ago, I was like fatigued. I had a bleed going forward. I had a bleeding polyp that was
Oh,
precancerous because I went to my doctor and I was doing P90X at the time. And I'm like, oh man, I used to like plow through these workouts, awesome, these videos. I think I was on my second or third time doing it through the whole session.
hmm.
And I'm like, Doc, I can't even get through. I'm like panting. So he thought maybe it was my heart and all that. So he checked my blood level. It was low, not, really low. And he's like, oh, let's do a colonoscopy. So they found that. And then I should have gotten a second opinion then, but they said, no, you don't need surgery. They took it out through the scope and you're good to go. But no, 10 years later, here it is. It must have festered.
Oh, wow. That is, well, that's insightful for anybody listening who's like, you got some issues and second opinions can be really valuable.
Absolutely.
Oh,
45 years old. If you're 45 They decreased the colon cancer screening, the colonoscopy screenings to 45 now. Go out there and get it done. And if you have any family history of colon cancer, even if it's an uncle, an aunt,
Oh, wow.
great grandfather, grandmother, just advocate to get a colonoscopy before 45. Just get it done.
Yeah, I think I'm going to do that soon, actually, now that we're talking, because my grandma, when I was 13, she ended up dying from cancer. And it
Wow.
was, oh, she was older though. Like she was in her late 60s, early 70s, but they didn't catch it. And I could have swore they said stomach cancer. But now that I'm thinking about it more, because I was still pretty young, it may have been that, but it spread because she wouldn't go to a doctor. She was very stubborn and she refused. And so within 2 months, it had just ravaged her body. We tried at the time, like when we found out about it, it was April and no, it was February. And then by April, she was gone. And we had even gone to Mexico. We took her to Mexico for 2 weeks to a like holistic hospital. I forget what it was called, but they took a completely like natural holistic approach and did all these weird things. And now at the time I thought it was weird. Now I'm like, oh yeah, well, it makes total sense. But and
Right.
it still didn't. It was just too late. They did not catch it. But now that you're talking about it, and there is other history of cancer in my family, I should definitely go check it out.
Absolutely.
Have it.
Absolutely. It's so
It
important.
it doesn't hurt to check. So you were diagnosed with this stage 4
Yes.
colon cancer,
Yep.
and that was last year.
Yep. So a little over a year now. Last
Yeah.
March 2020, I was in the hospital, but the official diagnosis was on April 1st,
Oh,
April
wow.
Fool's Day.
If only it was a joke.
I
If
know.
only.
I
Man, so throughout this entire year long process, you have somehow been training still. And I want you to dive into that. Like, as
Yeah.
much as you're willing to share, obviously, you had a history of working out. And so it was kind of built in you. And that's probably what caused you to flip that switch, I guess you could say,
Right.
when you got the diagnosis. And I think that right there is really important to talk about. Some people hear the diagnosis and their switch does not flip, it just stays down. So,
Yeah.
to start us out, what would you say, in your opinion, caused you to find some sort of hope and motivation to fight this as opposed to just like laying down and letting it take you?
Well, I mean, I had to be realistic, because it really put me down. So I lost so much muscle and so much strength, and the chemotherapy really deconditions you. But you got to
Mhm.
start somewhere. So I had the discipline already in me and the motivation to do it. A lot of people, they may have the ambition to do it, but that's not enough. You got to take action. You got to do it. And so I visualize me going down into the gym, or I'll visualize, walking, and I'll just do it. It's like me starting all over, never having to work out again and wanting to do it. So I don't want people to think that, oh, well, this guy, he's already worked out for all that time and he did it. No, it's as if I started all over. I was so deconditioned, and
Mm.
lost a lot of muscle. So I'm still down muscle. Yeah, I just, start off slow with walks. Sometimes I'll just walk in the house, have a goal of 200, 500 steps. Then I'll have a goal of 1,000 steps a day, 2,000 steps a day, 5,000 steps a day. You just work slowly and get your conditioning right. And then once I'm able to do that, then I can go in the gym and start picking up a barbell, a dumbbell, do some weights. But, it's tough with chemo because it's always in the beginning, your body adapts to anything, right? Even a diet, body adapts, your metabolism adapts. So it's the
Mhm.
same thing with chemo. In the beginning, I would say for many months, it was always, I would try to take one step forward to get stronger before I have to start over in 2 weeks with another chemo treatment.
Mhm.
But then I would be two steps back. It was a cumulative effect. So but I would just have to just hang in there and know that. And it doesn't matter if I'm taking two steps back. I just have to keep pushing and keep doing it. And then eventually it was only one step back and two steps forward as my
Mm.
body adapted after like several months. It took a
Yeah.
long time. But then, I just started pushing myself out there to be more active, and anything like whether it's surgery or cancer or anything like that, just that physical activity, that cardiovascular and anything like that, it's so important and so healthy. It just makes a huge difference, not just
Yeah.
diet and drinking. I had to drink a lot of fluids with the chemotherapy and have my diet in check, low sugar, stay away from red meat because of the
Mhm.
inflammation. So now I'm just trying to stick with poultry and fish, anything like that. Because any kind of inflammation like that, it'll just agitate the cancer. So I'm trying to do what I can
Gotcha.
to to really keep it down. But
Wow, that is crazy. So, what would you say has been the most challenging part of walking through this journey?
geez, it just mentally being kicked down all the time, being disappointed because you just want to get better and you want to feel stronger and you just get kicked down. And
Yeah.
then but then you just get up. So that's how I've been staying strong. It's like every time I get kicked down, I just get back up again. And even though I know I'm going to get kicked down again after another chemo treatment or surgery or another radiation treatment or whatever, that's it. Just got to go through it. I got to get back up again. Do it. I got to keep continuing living life, try to live healthy, try to live strong and get through this, and not think about the past or think about, well, what's going
Mhm.
to happen 3 months, 6 months, a year from now. I mean, I just think about today and tomorrow, and my wife is like a rock. So she's so strong. We're together. We're like a team, and she
Aw.
just helps me so mentally staying strong, and she really brings me up and really encourages me because some days I'm just, I'm human. Some
Yeah.
days I'm like, I don't really want to go out there in the gym. I just want to lay down. She's like, oh, no, come on. You can do it. You can do it. She's my cheerleader. And so I get out there and I do it.
That's so
It's sometimes
awesome.
it's just tough. The hard part is balancing, right? Not doing too much. I know you focus on like a lot of people that's out in the gym trying to work out or even beginners is
Mhm.
that's what you got to balance is not pushing yourself too much in the beginning,
Right.
because then you get wrecked and it's hard to recover. So you want to do it just enough so you can get back out there tomorrow. But with my experience in lifting and lifting heavy and going gung ho and all the years of lifting, it's harder to pull back. And those endorphins, like I get that, like that runner's high, like that
Yes.
endorphins start going, and I want to lift heavy. And my wife comes out to the gym. She's like, "Nope, quit while you're ahead, quit while you're ahead, because you want to work out tomorrow. And
Yeah.
if I do it too hard, I'm shot for 2 days. Can't go back out there."
Mm, that would be so challenging. I think for me, that's probably where I would go with it too. Just having to hold myself back. Wow. It's a lot to process for me as we're talking. I
Yeah.
want to first just honor you and your fortitude and your
Thank you.
courage to keep standing, to keep getting back up when you get knocked down, and to provide encouragement to other people. I want to kind of go a little bit into what it's like after you've had a chemo or radiation session. What are the days that follow? What does that look like for you in regards to training?
The 19th round, the round that I had last week, was pretty rough. Then I go for my 20th round Monday in New York. It's tough. I try to have enough energy to even take a shower, and it's that bad. So I'll take a shower, and sometimes I'll have to get out of the shower early with soap on me still because I'm so winded, so out of breath that chemo sometimes really kicks your butt. And then you got to lay down for like 2, 3 hours after you shower before you can even go
Wow.
downstairs. And sometimes it's hard to finish a meal because you just get so tired of chewing and eating. You're just you get that deconditioned. So that's why like smaller meals in the beginning was better because you just get tired. Or I'll walk down the stairs, right, and then I'll have to sit down on the chair for like half an hour, get my breath, and then going up the stairs was even harder. And that's a lot of that aggressive chemo. Right now I'm still on aggressive chemo, but not that many. I'm down to like two versus I think I
Oh,
was like five
wow.
different ones in the beginning. So yeah, but that's tough. So as far as training goes, Mentally, you're, you're physically down, but mentally, you're still mentally there. You're mentally strong, like you're
Right.
beat up mentally, but it's different. You're like, I still want to go out in the gym, even though I
Yeah.
feel like this. So it's very frustrating. And it took me a long time to really, and with my wife, really had to really drill into me. Like, you just got to work slow, pace yourself. Where I'll have to take walks before I get on the gym. And now it's like 4 days. After I go for chemo, the fourth day or the fifth day after chemo, I can go back out in the gym and I can work out. Now, I try not to work out the day before chemo because I try not to burn my CNS. I noticed that if I work out the day before chemo, and that's when I feel the best because it's like the very last day. The
Right.
more days pass by, the more you feel better. But I feel like it just kind of wrecks me for chemo.
Oh,
So I got like 9 days to work out before I have to do it again. And
oh,
it's been like this for over a year. But
wow.
I just keep going. I just keep going.
Is there an end in sight or what's the plan?
I go for scans again and it's a little inconclusive. They think it's maybe all dead. Oh, I didn't talk about my surgery. So 4 months ago, so not only am I going to go on my 20th round, but I had major surgery. So that's been affecting my
Oh,
workouts. I had
yeah.
they ripped me open from just the bottom of the sternum
Okay.
all the way down to almost my
Oh,
pelvis, so way below my
oh my
belly button.
gosh.
It was 20, almost 2 feet incision, 22 inches. Filleted me open, 44 staples, 42 staples. And that was worse than chemo. And I had two surgeons. I was
Whew.
under anesthesia for a very long time. And so that wrecked me. I was on restriction for 8 weeks, which drove me nuts in the beginning. But during those 8 weeks, I could not do anything. Even if the restriction was off, there's no way.
No, you
I mean,
probably couldn't even sit up.
it was just wrecked. So,
Oh my
and
gosh.
now it's like, so now I try to go out there and I got to wear this Velcro binder to kind of help hold everything in. I do a lot of powerlifting too, but I can't wear a leather belt because I have to wear a Velcro belt. So I got to wear both, and that restricts my breathing too, which makes it even
Oh yeah.
harder. Put in a pump. Not only did that major surgery, but the size of a hockey puck. There's a
What?
chemotherapy pump. I know it's crazy. It's hard plastic and it's on top of my abdominal muscles, but underneath my skin, very flushed
Okay.
underneath my skin. And it's
Oh,
literally the size of a hockey puck. It's a by Medtronics, and they fill it with chemotherapy, a very high dose, almost like a lethal dose, but it doesn't go through my whole body. It
okay.
directly goes right to the tumors in the liver. It feeds into the liver artery,
Wow.
and so then I have two chemo. I've got that chemo, and then I also have the Metaport. It's like another little plastic thing underneath the skin. It's got like silicone gel, so they could keep sticking needles in you. So
Oh
this way they
wow.
don't wreck my veins, and that stays in there, and that can come out. But the pump, though, that hockey puck, that's a pain in the butt, and
Oh my God.
especially with the working out. And so I can't do any ab exercises. But you know what? I was never a fan of ab exercises. I was
I
always a fan
know.
of core,
Yeah.
balance and core. I just think it's
Yes.
so important.
I've
So
never been one for crunches.
yeah,
The most I'll do with crunches is like a cable crunch or something every
yeah.
once in
Oh,
a while.
that's a good exercise.
That
Yeah,
one's
absolutely.
fun. Oh my goodness. So let's go ahead and I don't want to keep you too long, but I have a couple more questions.
Yeah, sure.
The first one is what do you do to maintain that mental strength? Because all of this really, if you think about it, is a mental game. It's a mental challenge that you're facing every single day. Do you read books? Do you have a faith that you hold on to? Is it your wife? Like walk me and the listeners through what it is that you do to maintain this.
Gosh, it's tough. So, my wife, of course, family and friends, we are spiritual people. We truly believe in the universe. What you put out there in the universe and that positive mindset and being around like-minded people is what we believe in. People that are going to be negative like being around negative people, so, we try to stay away from
Yeah.
that, which definitely helps whether you're healthy or not. So I do that. I do acrylic painting on canvas.
Oh,
So yeah,
that's cool.
I've been doing that for a long time since I was in high school, but I've been trying to bring it back and do that
Kind of
more.
therapeutic for you?
Yeah, yeah, absolutely.
Nice.
Yeah, that's therapeutic. So all these coping mechanisms, I do acupuncture.
Okay.
It is amazing, acupuncture. And you can't just go once. It's a cumulative effect.
Okay.
And I go weekly, and makes a big difference. It helps you get these toxins out of your body.
I've never
Um,
tried it, but I've been thinking about it. I just don't know. The needles seem scary.
you
Is
could
it not?
barely. I mean, they're so
You don't
tiny.
feel
They're
it?
like a mosquito
Oh,
needle.
okay.
Yeah,
Well, that's
yeah, they're
not bad.
so tiny. It's not
So
like
it
a
just
bee sting.
looks scarier than it really
It
is.
just looks it, but you
Okay.
barely.
Okay. That's
Yeah, I
doable.
don't know. Yeah. So, if somebody's struggling out there mentally, going through an adversity, for them to, to go right to pills right away, try coping mechanisms first. I've been dealing with this over a year. It got to the point where almost like probably 10 months I was hanging in there dealing with coping mechanisms and trying to stay strong.
Mhm.
And it gets to the point where you need help. It's not enough. It's not
Yeah.
doing it anymore. So I had to go like a little Lexapro antidepressant to kind of help me through that. It doesn't mean I need to stay on it forever.
Right.
I plan on trying to come off of it as soon as I'm good to go. Definitely helps. I'm not a pill person, but sometimes if you're going through something and you've
Mhm.
tried everything, try everything first before you go to your doctor for pills. But sometimes you just have to
Yeah.
swallow your pride and say, you know what, I need a little chemical help.
Yeah. And you're facing so much as it is. I think that's really good advice for sure. So, my other question is, what do your workouts look like right now? When you do get to work out, how do you program it, or do you just kind of say, okay, this is what my body feels like today, this is what I can do, and just kind of go from there? What does that look like?
Yeah, the hardest part, because I was always used to programming,
Yeah.
is I can't program because I get knocked down again, and it
Yeah.
just depends on how I feel differently. And so I kind of gauge it as a certain percentage. I'll shoot for a higher percentage if I feel really good. I'll shoot for a lower percentage. I can't
Mhm.
do high volume.
Right.
Can't do a lot of accessory work unless I'm just doing accessories. So if I'm lifting heavy, I'll just do a couple heavy exercises and not do accessory work. And then I'll save the accessory work for a different day.
Okay.
I'll take extra breaks. Like, I'll sit down for 10, 15 minutes before I have to do another set. It's okay. You just have to tell yourself, just you can't push yourself too much. But yeah, I love to squat, deadlift, bench, overhead press. I've been doing a lot of strongman with my stepson and his friends out in the front yard. We'll do the yoke carries.
So cool. Your shirt that you're wearing, you guys who are listening can't see this, but his shirt says Iron Junkies Gym, no time for excuses. And I just want to touch on that before we head out. Give me your take on this no time for excuses mantra that you have.
Well, this was before I was sick.
Oh, I
So,
love that.
yeah. So I think maybe I get a free pass now. I don't know. But, but yeah, no, this was before I got sick. And it's like, everybody's got excuses, and everybody's busy. You'll hear people say, well, I got little kids at home, or,
Mhm.
I got a full-time job. I got this going on and that going on. Well, you know what? I can have sympathy for you, but me too. And this other person here does
Yeah.
too. And everybody's got stuff going on. Everybody's got, maybe not kids, but they've got stuff going on. And there's
Yeah.
24 hours in a day. Even if it's half an hour, get out there and do it. No excuses.
Yeah.
So
Just move your
you got to be
body up.
stronger. You got to be stronger than your excuses.
Oh,
So
I like that.
yeah, that's not
That's
mine, by
good.
the way. That's Elite FTS, I think. I'll
It's
give them
true
credit.
though. It's true. You have to find a deeper reason. What's your reason? What's your why? Because there is something that's driving you to be able to work out in spite of this massive trial and adversity that you're facing. What is that?
Well, before I got sick, gosh, I got to tell you, I'm 45 years old. You take younger age for granted.
Yeah.
You're in your 20s or you're in your 30s and you're like, whatever, right? And as I get older, I almost like want to fight Father Time and say, you know what? Yeah, so every year that I get older, I push myself more physically because I'm like not going to go down like that. Like just because I'm, going to be 50 in 5 years or 60. I mean, look at these 70-something-year-olds out
Oh,
there killing it in the
I love
gym.
that.
I'm going to be like that.
Yep.
I want
Same.
to, hopefully.
Yep. Me too. Me too. Absolutely.
But yeah, just trying to be healthy. It's so good cardiovascular wise, just everything. You never know if you're going to get an illness,
Yeah.
whether it's a really bad virus or you're going to get cancer or anything. If you were already eating well and you were, in shape and you were working out, you can fight a lot easier. I mean, if I was, overweight and if I was a smoker and a drinker, I don't know where I would be in this stage right now for my cancer, to be honest with you.
It probably would have ravaged your body.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Would have.
Is there anything else you'd like to leave the listeners with? Any bit of encouragement or advice? Anything that comes to mind? What is that?
No matter what the cards that were given to you in life, you can change them. Don't just sit back and say it is what it is. I hate that. I hate that term. Got people in my life that used to have that term and, they're not in my life anymore. Not it is what it is. You change it. You do something about it, instead of complaining every day about it. Change your cards. You stay positive. This is what I tell people. Start off by having a positive affirmation every morning. Put it out in the universe, what you're happy about that morning or grateful or what you expect of that day mindfully. And at night, you work up to 3 things that you were grateful for that day. So you start off with like 1, just to make it easier every night, and then work up to 3. So my wife and I will ask each other that every single night. We'll say, hey, what are the 3 things that you're grateful for that happened today? Not just in general. Oh, I'm grateful for my kids. No. For today, what was 3 specific things that you're grateful for? So even if you had a bad day, which I have a lot of bad days, right? I can find 3 grateful things. Putting that out in the universe right before you go to bed, and then you wake up with a positive affirmation. It just helps. It just helps so mentally.
That is some of the best advice. I really love that you guys ask each other that question. I'm going to do that. I'm going to implement that with my husband and I.
Yeah, got to do it.
Because usually I'll write it in the morning. I'll write 3 things I'm thankful for that happened the previous day. But I really like the idea of going to bed with that gratitude. So I think I'm going to switch things up and start doing that and asking him and having him ask me, because then I'll have to think a little bit deeper into the day. Dang, this has been so good.
Yeah, I enjoyed it.
Thank you so much for sharing, one, your story, but also your encouragement and how you are making it through this time. Where can people find you?
At Iron Junkies Gym on Instagram. Also have a Cancer Hope with Coach Steve on Instagram. Steven Yakub is my name on Facebook. Feel free to reach out to me on Facebook too. So
awesome.
Yeah.
And I will link those handles up for anybody listening who wants to reach out to Steve. Maybe you're going through something yourself and you could use some deeper advice or help, or maybe you just want to say thank you to him for sharing his awesome wisdom, insight, and encouragement with us. Either way, it was such a pleasure to get to chat with you. You are always encouraging to me. Just seeing your posts and knowing your story, it's just like, dang it, I have no excuse. I don't care if I'm tired. I'm getting out there. And I hope that that's what this episode leaves you with as a listener. Cut your excuses. Just cut them. Just cut them off. No time for excuses. This is your life. This is your one day, and you get to make it what you want it to be. So with that being said, thank you guys. I will see you next week on The Sandbag Queen Show. Thank you for listening to this week's episode of The Sandbag Queen Show. I really appreciate it. Don't forget to subscribe to the show, leave a review, and share it with your friends. If you do those things, it really helps out the show. As always, you are amazing. Get out there and make good things happen. I'll see you next week. Hey, it's Heaven, and welcome to the Sandbag Queen Show, where we talk about all things health from the inside out. I hope you enjoy today's episode.